Are you ready to navigate the new way to work? Forbes Books presents Dare to Care in the Workplace with Kathleen Quinn Botaw. Here's Kathleen.
Thank you for joining me once again for my conversation with Ken Rusk, the author of Blue Collar Cash. We've been talking about his inspirational 30-year career as a successful entrepreneur with multiple businesses and his passion for mentoring young people to help them achieve their goals and live their dreams. Ken, let's jump into your book, Blue Collar Cash. What are some of the steps folks can take to be successful without a college degree?
Well, the first step is to realize that there are many ways to get there. So there's 167 million people considered full employment in the United States today. About 77 million of those people, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I painfully went through this, according to that, 77 million people do something with their hands. So by the time you put your 2 feet on the floor and you get out of bed and go to your office, church, school, whatever, you have crossed thousands and thousands of blue-collar jobs that are still viable today, and many of which make quite a good sum of money doing it. So I would say let's first realize that the college path was invented by people who sell college for a living, right? I would say that college is necessary if you are career specific. For example, I'm not anti-college. If you're going to operate on my shoulders so I can get back out on the golf course, I want you to know everything there is to know about a knife before you pick it up and come at me with it, right? And the same
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, and the same thing holds true with engineers and lawyers and teachers and anybody that's doing something in a professional way. I totally get that. Certain types of business that are specific, I get it. But if you're just going to college because someone told you that you had to go, and you'd rather build things or fix things or repair things or cook things or own a small flower shop or a baker, you have to run with that passion. You can't just follow the herd, as they say, and go down that path, because college has never been the only way. It's always been one of like 6 ways. And I think we have to get back to realizing that, you do things like take shop class out of high school. Well, right there, you eliminated millions of kids from learning how to change a tire or to weld something or wire an outlet or do someone's hair or their nails or cook or whatever. And that eliminated a lot of people from accidentally discovering that when they were in high school. So you got that out of the way. Then you have kids now that instead of going out and building a tree fort with lumber or hammer and nails, that they're building, something on their phones. They're building cities, imaginary cities on their phones. That's not the same experience, as you know.
No.
And colleges are really awesome at selling themselves. So, you have like that triple threat coming at you when it comes to this. But so the first step, I think, is to see that there are many paths. There always have been, there always will be. The second step is to absolutely get yourself that dream board and make it as crystal clear and as colorful and as detailed as you possibly can, and take your time doing that. And then once you have that recognition and that future look, that nirvana in front of you, then you can find one of the many ways that there are to go after that and get those things one piece at a time. So I have to tell you, I wanted to be a race car driver when I was younger. Okay. I wanted to be Richard Petty. Right.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen, but I knew that if I could control my own destiny, that someday as a business owner, I could create enough money that I could have that hobby on the side. And that's what I've done.
Good for you.
So, don't let a passion like that either die or overpower you when you can do it as a minor. You got your major and you got your minor. So yeah, I think people need to remember that, there are occupational passions that you can do. And there's also these others. I just don't think, and this is very controversial, sometimes it's not what you do for a living as important as it is what you do with what you do for a living. And so being able to take what you do for a living and feed those other things, I think, is just hugely important down the road.
Totally agree. And I think we've inadvertently pushed people into the direction that they don't necessarily want to go toward, like college, because there's so many really good positions out there that people can build a great life around. So Mike Rose, is on the dirty jobs guy. He's on
Sure.
a mission to make, dirty jobs sexy. So maybe we're on that path with them to make sure that we inspire people to work with their hands again. My being the daughter of an Irish immigrant who always worked with his hands, and the wife of a restoration carpenter, I admire those greatly who can create. They can create things from nothing. And I think we've lost that admiration of the trades because, a lot of people can't fix plumbing. They can't fix the electricity. They can't fix the shingles. And these are really important jobs.
I'm so glad you said that because, and in some cases, they're actually artistry. You know what I mean? So
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine who I hired to build an outdoor kitchen in my backyard, and he was building it out of stone, and it's just amazing what they can do with a pile of stone. It's just amazing. So I had to wait for him for 8 months because of how busy he was. So he showed up in my front yard, and it was a nice sunny day. He pulls up in a brand new pickup truck. He gets out with his well-worn boots and his jeans and his t-shirt. I think it was a Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt on, and he's got rock and roll cranked on his stereo in the truck. And he's going to work and he's whistling, and he's got his two assistants with him, and they're just having a ball, and they're creating this gorgeous outdoor thing.
Yes.
It was a work of art. That gentleman today has nobody to leave that company to, and he makes in excess of $250,000 a year. So when you talk about sexy, to me, to be able to just get up and that's your day, that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. And if you think about supply and demand, and this is the really crazy thing. So for every you know, uh, 10 contractors, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, whatever you want to say, all of them. For every 10 of those that are retiring, only 4 are coming online right now.
Oh,
So
that's so scary.
it is scary, but it's also a silver lining for someone who says, you know what? I'm not following the herd, man. I'm going to go run my own course here. I'm going to blaze my own trail. I'm going to do one of these jobs. We all know where supply is low and demand is high. That's where the money goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would tell anybody out there listening, if you don't know exactly why you're going to college, and if there isn't a job waiting for you when you get out of college, and if you even think that there might be something else to life, you're right. The answer is there is, and you should go find it.
Awesome. And one of your key points in Blue Collar Cash is comfort, peace, and freedom. And I think, part of what you're talking about is that freedom, the mason who could drive up in his truck with his, Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt and music blaring, he had the freedom to lead the life he wanted.
Yeah, and I think we really have to get back to that. There's this combating theory that, okay, so you can live an if then life, okay? If I go to high school and if I get good grades and if I get a scholarship and if I go to college and if I get a great degree and then if I get a job that pays me well, okay, then I can start living my life. I think that's absolutely backwards. I think we need to lead then if lives, and we need to define clearly what the then is. What is the then? What does that look like? And by the way, it's different for everybody. Some
Sure.
people's nirvana is going to be mega yachts and big cars and houses and all that stuff. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But other people are going to be really, really happy being in a state of comfort, peace, and freedom. And that is so different for everyone who's drawing that picture. So I just think we need to remember that we are not here to let life happen to us. We are here to happen to our own lives. And we are the only people that can determine as individuals what that is and what that nirvana would be. So yeah, I think we need to really consider what's valuable. And the older that I get, the more I recognize that comfort, peace, and freedom, all that meaning time, that's probably your most important asset you're ever going to have.
Totally agree. And having gone through your book and talking to you, faith plays a big part of your life. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I just always thought that, there's somebody up there and there's somebody out there and there's somebody watching over me and there's someone that can hold me accountable if need be. When my daughter got sick, there was a whole lot of that going on.
Hmm.
And, that was a scary 5 years. And, I'm not going to tell you that that's the only time that I prayed, but I prayed a lot during that period of time. And now I'm very thankful and very grateful and so fortunate and happy to give back, because when you're given gifts, you need to share those gifts. I think it's important that everybody recognize, especially in today's wacky society that we have, can you just get back to some simple, good, clean, moral and ethical and spiritual ways of living? It's just such a better way to live.
No, I totally agree. One of the chapters in my Dare to Care in the Workplace book is have a little faith. And I don't care what you got faith in, but let's have a little faith in each other, in something greater than who we are, and who we are, and believe. And I did read about your daughter and what she overcame, and also you've overcome a lot in your life. Not only your daughter's, cancer, and I hope she's doing well,
She's doing
but
great.
also good, thank God. And how about you? You mean you came into this world and you had something to overcome as well? Would you be willing to share?
Yeah. So I had a pretty serious facial deformity. It was called a cleft palate, and it was a pretty good one. And so I looked really funny for the first 12 or 14 years of my life. Sometimes I think I still do, but it was one of those things where I got very lucky. I mean, the gentleman that operated on me several times ended up being one of the original founders of Operation Smile some years later.
Oh,
So very blessed, very grateful. Someone was looking over me to help me through that, but not before all the bullying happened and the name calling and the making fun and all that kind of stuff. And I think you have a choice. You can either cower to that or you can find ways to fight back. And with me, one day I just discovered humor, and it was self-deprecating humor, and it seemed to work really, really well. And it made the bullies feel bad for what they were doing. And off we went. So, but a lot of times we talk about faith and sharing and giving back and that kind of thing. I'm not going to say these two are connected. And I would never want anyone out there to think that if you give, you will get. But it just seems to happen that the more you're willing to give, the more gifts are bestowed upon you. And that doesn't happen by accident. I just don't think it does. If you're willing to go out there and give, don't expect it, but I can tell you, you will be pleasantly surprised when it happens.
I 100% agree with that statement. I think that's awesome. And you also married your high school sweetheart. So did I.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Isn't that
She,
funny?
uh, yeah, she was working she went to my high school, but she was working at a pizza shop, and my best friend Chris was working there too. So in order to get him, off of work early, I would go help out. And folding pizza boxes was something that I used to do with Nancy, before, obviously before she was my wife and whatnot. But it ended up that we accidentally found out that each other's birthday is the same day. Our birthdays are the day after Christmas, and
Oh, how
at,
fun.
at first, she thought I was not telling the truth because I knew about her birthday. So I had to run home and get my birth certificate and prove it. And and then after that, it went from there. I was 17 and she was 19, and that's been quite a few years ago. But it's a really good thing.
Isn't it great? So those anybody listening who's in high school who has a great girlfriend or boyfriend, go for it because it works out sometimes. You never know. We're living proof of it. Um,
Right.
so, so after all these years and all this kind of adversity and building a company, helping your daughter through fighting for her life, overcoming your cleft palate. Why now? Why did you write this book now? Why is it so important for everybody to read?
Well, I can tell you, we talked a lot over the years. We talked a lot about the successes of the coaching that we did here, and again, there's a lot of people here that they can't wait to tell me how much they owe their success to me. And I look back at them and say, hey, I might have had 3% to do with your success. The other 97% was yours. And I think it was one of those things where I was sitting there in a lot of hospital rooms and a lot of doctors' offices with Nicole while she was sick. And it gives you a lot of time to think and to think about, what's really important in life and what would I tell her that she should be chasing. And the words comfort, peace, and freedom just kept coming back. I could not get these words out of my head. So when I started kind of like writing a letter to her, like, this is what I think is important in life. And then Nancy said, you got something good going there. You might want to share the success of your coaching beyond the four walls of your company. So I did. I never intended on writing a book. It was one of those things where I would just get an idea and I would run home and write it down. I never said, okay, I'm going to go lock myself in the office and write today. I could never do that. And when something hit me, I would write about it. I would write till my hand hurt and literally write on pieces of paper because I couldn't type very well. 80,000 words later, I literally Googled editors and found one in New York, and it went crazy from there. It went from editor to agent to PR firms to online social media managers to HarperCollins being the publisher, and it just went kind of nuts from there. I literally didn't think the book would go 10 feet, much less 10 miles, but it's been one heck of a ride.
I think it's gone further than 10 miles. And I'm glad it ended up on my desk. What's next for you? Because you're certainly not done yet.
Have you, I'm glad you asked that question. Have you ever seen somebody that has behind them on their Zoom camera, or when you go to their house, they have a lot of books on the shelves that they've read behind them?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I always look at that and I go, okay, so are those trophies, or are those like, did you get something out of all those books? Like, is there something you could share with me? Like, pick that book right there. What did you learn and what are you using from that particular one? And you get mixed answers to that. Some people, it's like, well, I read it. I don't remember what's in it, but I read it and there it is. So I wanted to make sure that once you read my book, Blue Collar Cash, that you could actually create a result from it instantly. I spent the last 2 years developing a course. It's 8 sessions long. It's only 45 minutes a session. It's all about how to take the book and put it into actual reality. Okay. Instead of saying, yeah, you know what? Someday I'm going to do that. It's no, today I'm going to do this. So I built this course, and I've seen courses out there that were, $1,500 to $3,000. I'm like, no, this course is $129. You get a free $25 book with it. And when you buy one, you also get to donate one to a friend or a neighbor, a loved one, whoever, for free. So
excellent.
It was my way of just giving back what I thought could be a hands-on training, things you don't learn in high school, or you certainly don't learn early in life. I wanted to be able to have people take this course and go, okay, wow, I'm actually now thinking differently than I did before, and my life is different for that. So we released that a few months ago, and it's going really, really well. And we're going to run with that for a little bit, get it refined and make it perfect. And then who knows, maybe there's another book out there.
How do people find that? How do people find you and find access to that class?
If you go to kenrusk.com, you can see there's a button that says take the course or buy the book or whatever you want to do. And you can kind of see what we're up to there. All my socials are Ken Rusk Official, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever it might be, Facebook. It's one of those things where my life was really good before I did this. I didn't do this for money. I give most of my proceeds from the book away anyway. So I just wanted to say, okay, can I leave a mark somewhere where someone said, you know what? I got this information. I was a little lost at the time, not clear what my future looked like. So I read this book, I took this course, and now I got it. Now I think I'm on my way. So if that happens, then I've done what I intended to do.
That's awesome. Well, you're a gift, Ken Rusk, and I appreciate you joining me today. I am glad your book landed in my lap, and I look forward to getting to know you more. Thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Love to. And I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You are very welcome, and that will do it for another episode of Dare to Care in the Workplace. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please make sure you take a second to subscribe so you automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you could leave a review on Apple or Spotify so more folks like yourself can discover the show. Until we meet again.
This has been Dare to Care in the Workplace. To connect with Kathleen, go to KathleenQuinnBotaw.com. Kathleen's book, Dare to Care, is available wherever books are sold. Dare to Care in the Workplace is a production of Forbes Books.